How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another Pokemon Scarlet and Violet Wi-Fi battle. Today we're in a battle versus Garrett Legendstone from the Discord server in the OU tier. Go ahead and join the Discord server. It's the best place to go for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet Wi-Fi battles right now. There is a link in the description down below. And for any reminders, drop a like on the video and subscribe if you haven't already. We're on our way to 20k by the end of the year, and I'd love for you to be a part of that journey. So anyway, looking at the team, they had the same idea with the Ninetales and the Auroravale, which is pretty cool. They've brought T-Tar, I've brought Iron Thorns, a nice little rivalry there. Metagross is cool to see, and the Ditto is nice. So we've got to be careful setting up with the Iron Thorns, that's for sure. Although they don't have a load of dice on their Ditto, I'm assuming. Probably going to see a Glimmora lead, so I'm tempted to lead with Dugong straight away, but they might Power Gem us into Oblivion. So I'm half leaning towards either a Heatran lead. I think I'm going to go Heatran lead because it works well against the Ninetales as well. So I feel like that's a good lead, and we can get our Stealth Rocks up and all that, and they can't Mortal Spin on us. And the battle begins. Good luck, have fun, Garrett. So they're going to lead off with Glimmora as expected, as we lead off with Heatran. Now, interestingly, I did have Scorching Sands on there, but Scorching Sands isn't enough to 2-hit KO opposing Heatran, so it came a bit problematic. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to Earth Power this thing into Oblivion. They can't Earth Power us. They are going to Power Gem us, though, interestingly enough, to break our Air Balloon, which tells me they may have Earth Power to go after that. But I'm confident we can live in Earth Power, and then they go, they are Focus Sash as well. So we break the Focus Sash, which is great. And now I'm probably going to see an Earth Power. I'd say either Earth Power or Stealth Rocks. It could be a Stealth Rocks last-ditch effort to get some damage off, but looking at their team, I think they may just stay in. I know I can take an Earth Power, so I might just do it, because, yeah, I think I'm going to go for it. I'm just going to go for the Earth Power. So they go for a last-ditch Stealth Rock. That's fair enough. But they don't really have a good switch into Heatran, because I could easily go for a Magma Storm to finish this thing off, and that makes the Ninetales a bit susceptible, so they can't really switch that in. Tyranitar doesn't appreciate an Earth Power, and neither does Metagross. Garchomp's neutral, and Ditto would transform into a Heatran, which means it would take super effective damage, though. So they bring in the Garchomp, which is fair enough. It's a ground type, outspeeds us, can easily KO us with Earthquake. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to go straight into my Great Tusk. It is defensive. We can easily take an Earthquake, and then we can Rapid Spin away those Stealth Rocks that were set up earlier. There we go, withdrawing our Heatran. It was a good play for them to Power Gem our Air Balloon away, because that actually gave them the opportunity to bring in Garchomp. Otherwise, Garchomp just couldn't touch us. So Great Tusk is coming in anyway. They go for a Swords Dance, which is terrifying in its own right. This makes me want to go for an Ice Spinner as opposed to a Rapid Spin now. I think Ice Spin is probably a better option, so I'm going to go for it. So they are going to Terastalize probably into a Steel type, I would say, to resist the Ice Spinner, which is fair enough. They don't know what set we are yet, so yeah, they are going to go Terasteel. Bit risky because we could have easily gone for a Headlong Rush or an Earthquake. But at the same time, it was pretty obvious that if we were going to do anything, it would be to go for the Ice Spinner. So they go for an Iron Head. It's not going to do that much damage. It nearly does half. But we are going to get some Rocky Helmet chip on them. And then we go for an Ice Spinner to get a bit more chip on them. And hopefully they're not Rocky Helmet as well. Otherwise, that would be problematic. So because of the Rough Skin plus the Rocky Helmet? No, Rocky Helmet. That's good. So now we can easily go for an Earthquake to take this thing out. Hopefully it would actually take it out, as they actually go for a Scale Shot but miss. I don't think a Scale Shot would have taken us out, but we're never going to find out because they missed. As down goes the Garchomp. Actually, Scale Shot might have had a good chance of taking us out there, thinking about it. But that's what happens when you use moves that can miss. It just happens, I'm afraid. So in comes the Ditto, which is an interesting one. So that's going to get an Imposter on us. They now know exactly what Great Tusk set we are, although I think it was pretty obvious what we were. Maybe they're trying to get some... I don't know what advantage they're trying to pull here, but I'm going to go for a Rapid Spin anyway. So they go for an EQ to try and get some damage off. Now, I know I'm a defensive Tusk, so I know that that's not going to KO me. As my Rapid Spin is going to come through and get rid of them Stealth Rocks. So now, if they are Choice Scarfed, we are at a speed tie. So I could just stay in and go for an Ice Spinner here. My Great Tusk is on Death's Door. May as well do it. Let's go for an Ice Spinner. They do withdraw Ditto, though, because they're probably thinking the same thing as me. And that's that, yeah, the Ninetales is going to come in now. And that's that they're going to bring the Ninetales in to get the snow up to boost their physical defense, meaning they're going to take this Ice Spinner like an absolute unit, as they do, because Ninetales is a unit. So we get to keep Great Tusk around, because all we need to do now is go back into Heatran. Heatran easily walls this Ninetales to oblivion. However, we do need to watch out for Encore. So I'm going to be hesitant to set up my Stealth Rocks here. Not that the Stealth Rocks are really that important in this game. They do set up the Aurora Veil as expected. That's going to make it a bit harder to take this team down, and they could really turn things around now, because at the moment we're at a 6-4 lead. I'm going to go straight for the Magma Storm. I don't see any reason not to. They could easily bring the Tyranitar in here, and I feel like they are going to do that, but I think Magma Storm's still effective. They do go for a Moonblast, though, trying to get some more damage off on us as much as possible. We do miss the Magma Storm, which is very unfortunate, as now I'm hoping they're thinking, let's switch this Ninetales out of here and go into the Tyranitar. But I don't really want them to do that. I don't know what they're going to do. They just hit me with a Moonblast, so I'm not sure what their mindset is, which makes it hard to read what to do. And this is where I start to overthink things. Let's go for a Magma Storm again. Let's just play it safe. So they do withdraw the Ninetales this turn, and they're going to go into the T-Tar, I'm guessing. Yeah, Tyranitar, the Paldea champion, comes in. No doubt this is going to get rid of the snow and bring in the sand, which is absolutely fine by me. I'm not too bothered about that. We go for another Magma Storm, and we do unfortunately miss again. So we're having some bad luck with the Magma Storms, which is unfortunate. So, knowing that T-Tar is in and a big threat, first things first, I want to assume it's a Dragon Dance set. Now, there's a good reason for that. I think it's a Dragon Dance set. They either go for a Dragon Dance or an Earthquake here, one of the two. So I'm going to bring Ninetales in now, boost our physical defense with the snow, lower their special defense from the boost that they got from the sand, and then we'll be in a bit of a better position, I think. So what I'm going to do now is bring Ninetales in nice and shiny, gotta love it. Get that snow up. They do go for a Stone Edge predicting the switch, and that's going to easily KO my Ninetales. So that's a pretty good play on my opponent's behalf. Did a lot of damage, that did. So I'm wondering what to do here. So I want to go Dugong, just so that I can Tera Fairy Liquidation. But for Tera Fairy, I lose my Ice-type defensive boost. But then again, if Ninetales couldn't take it, Dugong's not taking it either. So is it better to go into the Dugong and go for the Tera Fairy? Or is it better to take a 180 and go Primarina? We could go Primarina, actually. I'm pretty confident Primarina can take a Stone Edge, but this thing could be choice banded based on the damage it did. So I think I'm going to go Great Tusk. I'm going to go Great Tusk. I'm going to scout, see if they change up moves, or see if they switch out. They may switch out, for all I know. They may switch out. So I'm going to go for an EQ here. This probably baits in the Ninetales a bit, but I might actually just predict the Ninetales and go straight into my Iron Thorns. That could be a good play, because they're not going to... no, I'll stay in, actually. I'll just scout. I'm going to scout to see what this Tyranitar is going to do. They do withdraw, which tells me that they're either, you know, choice banded, or they don't have a move to hit me. They probably have Stone Edge and Crunch, maybe Stealth Rocks or Thunder Wave or something like that. But again, I feel like the damage they did to that Ninetales in the snow is enough to say that it might be choice banded. Just might. So we get a crit on the Ditto, which is great. Now, if you're wondering why it did so much damage, even though it was a crit, it would have still done a decent amount of damage. And that's because Ditto, when it transforms, I've got low battery on my controller. When Ditto transforms, it doesn't copy the health stat, and Ditto has pretty low health. So I think what we can do here is we can safely go for an EQ again. They go for an EQ, and I'm confident we can take one of these. No, we can't. Never mind. I'm not confident at all. I am not confident at all. So with the Ditto in, and more than likely Choice Scarfed, because Ditto is typically run Choice Scarfed, we can safely assume that they're probably going to switch out here against my Dugong. And if I had to guess what they're going to bring in, I would say probably the Metagross or the Ninetales. So I'm going to go for a flip turn expecting the switch. They do withdraw the Ditto, which is great for us. It means we're going to get some momentum, which is what we need to get going here, because they're currently pulling this game back and we need to stop that. So in comes Metagross, nice and shiny as well, gotta love it. We go for a flip turn, bit of damage on the Metagross, not too much, and then we're going to go back to good old Jack. So, that's me. So, what can we do now? That's the real question. So, I'm leaning towards the Primarina, because Sparkling Aria does a lot of damage to their entire team, except from the Ditto. But I'm also leaning towards the Iron Thorns to get the Terra Flying Dragon Dance thing going on, but at the same time, I don't want this thing to think, oh, hey, I can just Earthquake here, or I can Meteor Mash, because Meteor Mash will still hurt. So I'm leaning towards Primarina. I think Primarina is our best bet. So I'm going to go into Monroe. The nice and shiny Primarina. I love the blonde hair on the shiny Primarina. It's really cool. Anyway, if we assume they're probably going to switch here, or stay in and try and attack us with a Meteor Mash. I think I'm going to assume the Meteor Mash, and I'm going to go for a Sparkling Aria here. They go for a Heavy Slam, which is going to sting a bit. Actually, one-shots my Primarina. Are we playing at level 100 and I'm using level 50 Pokemon or something? What's going on here? Why is the damage... They're doing so much damage to me. It's not fair. Not fair at all. So, what do we do here? We are backed into a corner, as you could say. I think it might be time for Iron Thorns to come in. So, they could very well expect an EQ, which we don't have. But I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to Terra Flying. I'm going to Dragon Dance on this thing. I know the Ditto's going to copy me. I know it is. We still have to try. If we don't try, we won't win. So I'm going to try. I'm going to go for the Terra Flying. And I'm going to go for a Dragon Dance. And I'm going to hope and pray that they go for a Earthquake here. I really hope they go for an Earthquake, because Heavy Slam won't KO us. It'll still do a bit of chip damage, though. As we go for that Dragon Dance real quick, I'm hoping that Dragon Dance is enough to get us to KO this thing with something. Anything. They go for a Heavy Slam. So Heavy Slam is going to sting a bit, but we are quite heavy. I know Heavy Slam's a pretty good move, actually, for Metagross, because it's so heavy. It's proved really effective. So we could either go for a Supercell Slam or a Pin Missile. Now, Supercell Slam is a stab move, so I think we're probably better off going for that, which is why I'm going to go for it. Supercell Slam comes through. Doesn't quite KO the Metagross, but the Heavy Slam isn't going to KO us either. And it's not even a 3-hit KO, so that's great. So, knowing they could easily switch out here into something like the T-Tar, or the Ninetales, or the Ditto. Ditto would transform into an Electric type, so I think I'm going to go for a Pin Missile here to KO this Metagross. Pin Missile comes through, and obviously with the loaded dice, we're going to be able to KO this Metagross, no problem, as they're guaranteed to hit at least 4 times with the loaded dice. So, Metagross goes down. That's a big threat out of the way. Unfortunately, we lost the Primarina, which, to be honest, the Primarina would have proved ineffective against the T-Tar, because if that Heavy Slam KO'd us, then no doubt the Stone Edge from the Tyranitar would as well. So, Ditto is going to transform. Now, here's the thing. They've copied our Dragon Dance. However, they're probably going to lock themselves into a move. So, if we assume they're going to go for a Rock Blast here, or a Supercell Slam, we're better off going into Heatran. So I'm going to go Heatran real quick. We're going to bring back Twisted, the Iron Thorns, and we're going to bring in the Heatran once again. I know they don't have Earthquake, obviously. We don't have Earthquake. They do go for a Supercell Slam, and they do miss, which is great, because that means the Ditto is going to KO itself by keep going and crashing. So that's great. Now, we've got a problem. T-Tar is probably going to come in here, or the Alolan Ninetales, to get a last-ditch Aurora Veil up. But they bring the T-Tar in. We no longer have any way to get rid of the sand. But if this thing isn't Dragon Dance, we might be alright here. So I'm going to go for an Earth Power now. Earth Power comes through. We actually outspeed the T-Tar. So that tells me it might be more of a defensive set, as they go for an EQ, and that is going to take us out. Which is fine. We can handle this. So, what do we do in this particular situation? Well, the answer to me is that they are a bulky set that's Adamant Nature with max attack, with Stone Edge and Earthquake, Crunch, and maybe Stealth Rocks or Dragon Dance. That's what I'm thinking. Now, I know I outspeed them with my Iron Thorns. The problem is, do I KO with Pin Missile? And the other problem is, does Dewgong take on the Ninetales 1v1? There's only one way to find out. My Iron Thorns is actually max speed, hence the Dragon Dance. So I'm confident we'll outspeed here if the Heatran outsped. So I'm going to go for that Pin Missile. Now, I think the best play for them to go for is to go into the Ninetales here. That's probably the best play they could go for, but I feel like they're going to be one of them people that's like T-Tar versus Iron Thorns showdown. So I'm going to go for a Pin Missile here, as they do make the right play. I could have gone for a Rock Blast there. Could have gone for a Rock Blast. But I didn't. I just chose not to. So Ninetales comes in. However, this doesn't mean we've lost. We get some free damage off on the Ninetales. It's going to hit 4 to 5 times. So we get a bit of damage off. I could have predicted, but I didn't want to mess around with that T-Tar. I really didn't want to mess around with that T-Tar at all. So, what do we do now? That's the real question. I'm going to bring Dewgong back in. I think Dewgong is going to be able to do this. So we're going to withdraw our Iron Thorns. We'll save it for their T-Tar later. Pin Missile will come through for us, I'm sure, if we can play this right. So Dewgong comes in. They go for a Freeze Dry. That's going to bounce right off us because we have got Thick Fat. They have Moonblast, we know that. I have to go for a Liquidation. It's my best move to go against this thing. They may go for an Aurora Veil. Who knows? Let's go for the Liquidation. They do go for the Aurora Veil. Let's see how much damage a Choice Banded Liquidation does through the Aurora Veil. And you got to remember, Liquidation can lower defense as well. So Dewgong comes through and does a nice little bit of chip damage to them. And we get the defensive drop, which is fantastic. We've got 3 minutes left of the battle. This is the perfect length battle because it's coming to a conclusion soon. They do go for a Freeze Dry. Once again, bounces right off us. We go for a Liquidation. Down goes the Ninetales to a critical hit as well. Fantastic work from Dewgong right there. So I'm wondering, this all comes down to Dewgong, whether it can outspeed this T-Tar. I know we can't KO with Liquidation. We just need to do enough damage to where Pin Missile can finish it off. That's all we need to do. So I'm going to go for that Liquidation real quick. Liquidation comes through. Can we do enough damage? I think that might be enough damage to win this. Stone Edge comes through. Down goes Dewgong. So now it all comes down to Iron Thorns. Terra Flying, by the way. Weak to Rock. Versus an actual T-Tar. Paradox versus original form. Look how... Well, actually, Iron Thorns is usually a lot smaller than their T-Tar. But my Iron Thorns is quite big. Whereas their T-Tar is quite small. So that's... Perfect sizing. Perfect sizing for a match-off. So let's go for that Pin Missile and hope for the best here. There it goes. Is it enough? It might do. No, it's not enough, is it? If they miss the Stone Edge, then yeah. But otherwise, it's a very, very close game. As unfortunately for us, they don't miss the Stone Edge. And that is going to be the game. So it's a very close game. Really fun little showdown we had going on there. Really enjoyed that one. Thank you for the game, Garrett. That was a really fun one. GG. That was a really good one. But anyway, here is the team. Try it out if you want to. Use the code at the top right corner of the screen. Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you did enjoy, of course, leave a like, subscribe, all that wonderful stuff. And with that being said, I'll see you all in a bit.